Israel, and we begin down south where the ground campaign continues. And there was a tragedy in Rafah. 4 Israeli soldiers killed during combat. The IDF says 6 others were injured, 5 of them seriously wounded, when an explosive device detonated in a building, causing its collapse in the Shabur neighborhood of the city, where forces extracted 2 Israeli hostages back in February. Major Tal Shaulov, 24-year-old from Gadera, Staff Sergeant Eitan Karlsbrunn, 20-year-old from Modin, Sergeant Yair Levine, 19-year-old from the West Bank settlement of Givat Harel, and Sergeant Almog Shalom, 19-year-old from Kibbutz Hamadia. Their killing raises the death toll of the Gaza ground operation to 295 Israeli soldiers. May they all rest in peace. I want to turn now live to the ground. I-24 News correspondent Nicole Tzedek is joining us from the Israel-Gaza border. Nicole, we can say that one of the brigades, main brigades operating on the ground, concluded what is now known as the Nusrat campaign that ended in a solid bottom line, the rescue of 4 Israeli hostages and the dismantling of numerous terror tunnels, and yet seems like a drop in the ocean. From south, we're heading north now. Yet another intense day on the northern front. Heavy barrages, some 50 launches crossed into Israeli territory from Lebanon to the area of the Golan Heights. Numerous rockets alerts sounded in various localities and communities there. Several launches were intercepted, others falling in open areas. Bottom line, the war there up north continues. I-24 News correspondent Balir Sladin joining us live from there. So heavy barrages of rockets today. What's the latest?
Yes, the heavy barrage contained of 50 Katyusha rockets that were fired from southern Lebanon toward the center of the Golan. From what we understand, most of these rockets were intercepted. Others has fallen in open areas, and there are no casualties as a result of them. But this is coming after what we have seen during the night. The Israeli Air Force has targeted Hezbollah militants beside the Syrian border, the Lebanese-Syrian border, where there are units that transfer weapons, according to what the military is saying.
Now to the question that remains: playing games or a hopeful sign? Hamas giving a tentative yes to the hostage ceasefire deal that was endorsed at the UN Security Council. A diplomatic source in Jerusalem responding positively as well. And U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, wrapping up his 10th visit in Tel Aviv since the beginning of the war, says it might all be a step forward.
Well, I say it is a hopeful sign, just as the statement that they issued after the president made his proposal 10 days ago was hopeful. But it's not dispositive. What is dispositive, at least what's so far been dispositive one way or another, is the word coming from Gaza and from the Hamas leadership in Gaza. That's what counts, and that's what we don't have yet. And that's why I say we're waiting to see. Everyone has said yes, except for Hamas. And if Hamas doesn't say yes, then this is clearly on them.
In boost, Arab leaders gather in the Jordanian side of the Dead Sea to discuss more aid to the Gaza Strip. According to Israeli figures, 197 aid trucks were transferred to Gaza yesterday alone via Egypt, the Ashdod port, and Israel. Furthermore, it says the contents of 1,000 trucks are waiting on the Gazan side of the Kerem Shalom crossing point to be picked up and distributed by UN aid agencies. At the summit itself, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi said the focus should be on forcing Israel to stop the ground maneuver. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas said it's all the responsibility of the United Nations Security Council and the international community to press Israel. Jerusalem, for its part, by the way, was not even invited to the Gaza Aid Conference. Jordan King's Abdallah said elevated humanitarian aid should not wait till the end of the war.
Humanitarian access cannot wait for a ceasefire and cannot be subject to the political agendas of any party.
Like of Jews It's perhaps the most diplomatic term I can use here.
Yeah, I wrote a piece recently looking at Palestinian statehood and this concept of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is, sort of a newfangled term for affirmative action. And it's a very important concept that's going through academia and through corporate life in America right now. And I found that DEI and Palestinian statehood were very, very similar. They both really focused, of course, on a hatred of Jews. DEI is sort of predicated on positioning Jews in the lowest possible place in the pecking order of identity politics. But both DEI and statehood are focused on identity, on nationality, identity, and these terms that focus on intersectionality. Palestinian, statehood, genocide, Nakba, we're talking all about identity, and DEI is exactly the same way, focusing on race, sexuality, gender.
Security situation since October 7th, we've been discussing, has in general not been good for local businesses, but concerns over communicating in emergency situations has led to the consumer revival of one particular product that many people thought was a thing of the past. More on this report from Sapir Levy and Jody Notelowitz.
I never thought I would ever purchase something like this again. I would always go to the store and these phones would look so old, so obsolete.
People in Israel thought they got rid of it at the turn of the century, but now the house phone is making a comeback in Israeli homes. Due to the security situation and the fear of an emergency scenario in which cell phones will not work, many are returning to installing a landline telephone device at home.
We used to have, over the course of 1 month, 10, 12, 15 requests, something like that. Now we get that many requests in just 1 day.
There has been a dramatic increase in requests for landline phone installations, an average weekly increase of 364% just in the city of Haifa, which has experienced rocket attacks from Lebanon and where Mayor Yona Yahav has called on residents to install landline phones in their homes. And in the rest of Israel, the number of requests has risen to 168%.
I have consulted with communication experts who tell me that landline phones may provide 10 hours more service than cell phones. 10 hours that are essential in a city like Haifa. In terms like this, there is no choice. We need to prepare.
I went out and purchased a landline house phone that guarantees me that if there is an emergency situation, I can speak with my family. It will provide me with peace of mind.
If you're wondering what that tent is that is sitting in the middle of Shai Greenberg's living room, it is a portable emergency toilet. He is representative of many Israelis who are preparing themselves for all scenarios. Because in these frightening days, what can provide a sense of security are some products that many thought they would never need again. But not everyone is so concerned, including those who are selling house phones. So, do you have a landline phone in your home?
Me? In my house? Nah.
I also got rid of my landlines, and maybe I should be thinking about bringing them back. That ends this program for today. Of course, you continue to